one of the big things I find with business planning is a lot of the templates out there, because I studied a lot at school, went to Ivy Business, anyone from Western, did that, and so there's just all the time you're just doing business plans, business plans, business plans. And the stuff they actually teach you in school, when you get in the real world and do business, it's not real practical. Anyone find that as a challenge? Is that the business plans that you get taught, whether in school or by other coaches and stuff I've seen out there for different industries, like it's just not very practical stuff that you can do and then apply when you're out in the field. Who here has had that experience? And that makes you not want to do it, right? So when you look at this, you're like, what kind of template is this going to make me? I'll think through. I don't really think this is actually going to help me make more money. So that was one thing. So taking way too long. So my goal today is to show you and give you, so you guys will all get this template. I'll show you a sample one, and there's a blank one that you can use and fill out. You'll be able to have a business plan done at the end of this presentation for sure in less than 60 minutes, if not less than 30 minutes. And then the real other thing that I found frustrating with business plans was that they became very obsolete pretty quickly. And especially in today's world with technology changing all the time, new marketing plans, new marketing schemes, new ways to get clients, new things that we want to buy and put in our budget, the applicability and the relevancy of a business plan I find is obsolete within a month, maybe 3 months. Anyone else can relate to that one? And so again, that prevents people from doing it. Anyone else? Anyone else have any challenges that they hope today will help them overcome? Any problems they've had with business planning they couldn't figure out that they want to voice, and maybe I can help address? Anything? No? All right. Enjoy your food. I guess I'll get started and do an intro kind of myself. So I've had lots of different businesses over time, and well, I was a consultant for this thing. So when it comes to what my superpower is in the world, I actually really do think this is one of them. I'm weird when it comes to Excel and creating nice little templates that makes people really efficient, right? Because the goal is that whenever you do anything, is you're really efficient at it, and it's applicable, and it works, and it's predictable, and it's systematic, and it's accurate, and it's precise. So I geek out over that stuff. So hopefully I can share some of that knowledge with you today. My event company was #1 in the city. My mobile fitness franchise was #1 in Canada. And then my wife was a realtor, and I helped her build her business and make 6 figures in her first year without any money. If any of you guys want to know how to build a business and do it in a really controllable, systematic, and predictable way so that you know, here's my goal of how much money I want to make. Here's the plan to get there that's rooted in reality, that's rooted in data, and your history as a person, because everyone's going to have different plans. There's not one plan for everyone. So having something that is going to be able to be personalized to you, that's what I'm going to give you today, so that you will be able to create a plan that's for you only, that will paint a picture of what you need to do to get the results you want to make. I'm not going to go too much into how to serve your client. This is how to get clients and how to be profitable. All right, who here thinks that's some of the biggest challenge they have in their business? Get clients and be profitable. When I look at the statistics, I think I heard the other day from someone, I was at Inman in New York, anyone there at that conference? 70 or 80% of realtors now fail in the first 2 years. It used to be 3 to 5, it used to be 5 to 7, and it just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And small businesses in general, the same thing. And I really feel at the end of the day, it's because they don't know how to make money consistently in a predictable way so they can plan out their year and then just go have fun executing. Okay? So those are some of the challenges that I had. I know that, again, when you look at some of these templates, and that's why I want to walk you through this template so that when you get it, you're not overwhelmed. As a person who even likes Excel, when someone sends me their Excel template, I'm like, oh my God. And then I got to spend some time digging into it. So if any of this makes you feel overwhelmed, that's normal. And so that's why I'm here to teach you how to use it, because then you can use this and every month just update it so that you always know what adjustments you need to make to hit the goals you want to have, and maybe you start crushing it and then you want to go bigger. And that's really, I think, what business is all about, because that's a lot of fun. Okay? I'll walk you through the blank version. Okay, and so again, you'll get all these, so you don't necessarily have to take photos because you'll get these templates. But if you want, feel free. I do recommend that to get the most out of today's session, start writing down the stuff you're going to put in it. So as I'm explaining what you're going to put in it to make your plan, start writing it out so that when you get the templates, you can get it done a whole lot faster. And write down whatever questions, and I'll address them all at the end, and we can kind of go back and review some stuff that confused you. Sound good? When you look at the template, you'll see some green and black cells. Okay, don't touch those ones. Those ones have some calculations in it to give you some insight into your business, to get some stuff for you so that you don't have to do it. Okay, all you got to do is put stuff into the white cells. And there's less white cells than there are green cells. Okay? Now, when you think about a business plan, here is the essentials. First, you got to have a place to put all your transaction data. Hopefully you have a CRM that maybe has this in there for you, or an Excel spreadsheet somewhere, or at least on a piece of paper somewhere. I know some people have that. So we're going to go over your transaction data, then what that means for your business. Okay. Then looking at your market. Okay, so I just got some numbers, and I'm going to push your association to make sure, and your brokerage to make sure that you get these numbers every single month, because there's one number I find a lot of brokerages and a lot of associations don't give their realtors, and it is the most important number to make money. From knowing how to just build a business, you get all these frameworks that help all these other businesses and other industries grow, and it blew my mind when I came into this one to help my wife and help all my clients with their businesses that this number is not publicly available. So that you guys can all use it to go make more money and figure out your marketing plan. So we're going to talk about what you need to know about your market, then the goal setting section, which, you know, there's a whole session we could probably do on goal setting and goal setting for your life and for your business. For this is just the essentials that you really need to think about for your business in terms of getting the income that you want for your family and for your future. Okay. Then this sheet is called Project Get Clients. Right, because that is the name of the game for business, is get clients. You know, people fluff it up with sales and marketing and revenue producing and demand generation and blah, blah, blah. It's just like get clients. All right, so I simplify it, and we're going to talk about all the different ways that you can get clients. And show of hands, who here is a solo agent, just does business on their own? Raise your hand. So the majority of the room are solo agents. Who here has a team? Okay, so this whole template is for the individual agent, and then and so you'll get all your agents to do this, and because there's a whole bunch of other stuff that teams and brokerages have to do that we're not going to go into today. This is really just for the individual agent to say, hey, here's how much money I want to make, and here's the path to go get there. Then we're going to go into, and notice how this slide, there's no white cells at all, based on the data that you put in here, which I'm probably going to say data a lot today, and one of the big takeaways I find a lot of my clients have is that they don't record, they don't track and measure their progress along the way. And that's like a whole other webinar and training session I do, is to create really simple systems to track and measure the key numbers that you then put back into the business plan to make sure you always have the path to get to where you want to go. But this sheet just breaks down how good is all your different strategies working, and which one you should ramp up and which one you should slow down or cut. Right? I think one of the keys to business is how to spend time and money. It's the #1 skill in business, and usually if you want to build a big business, you have to spend money to make money. It's not some like sales phrase that people make, it's pure math. You have to spend money to make money, and the key, the thing that most business owners struggle with, is knowing what to spend their money on. So this sheet will clarify it all for you. And that's why I don't like people when they say, oh, print sucks and lead gen sucks and this sucks. It's like, well, listen, everyone's different. Every market's different. And so again, you have to create a plan that's catered to you. I have some clients who kill it in print, and other people that it's just a money down the toilet. Same thing with lead generation, same thing with prospecting. It's really all about you. And that's why I really don't like agents looking at other agents to help them figure out how to do their business, because you don't know their values as a person, you don't know their goals in their life, you don't know their lifestyle goals, you don't know their family, you don't know a whole bunch of stuff that really does change a person's business plan. Okay, so this is all about having something for you. Then lifestyle. Okay, it's great to say I want to do 52 or 100 deals a year, but if the workload says you got to work 100 hours a week or 80 hours a week and you don't want to do that, then that doesn't matter. Right? You have to make sure your business plan aligns with your lifestyle goals and that the amount of work that's going to be required to make that money, and that involves the work to get the client and the work to serve the client, which this template will help you figure out, the total workload on a weekly basis for me to execute my plan. You'll look at it and go, do I want to do this? And you just got to ask yourself yes or no. Okay, that's really, really important. I find a lot of people, they start making decisions about their business and they don't think about that part. They think about the money part. So yeah, we have a little simple budget and a way to figure out if you're profiting and make sure your business plan makes financial sense. But I always want to make sure that it makes lifestyle sense. Okay, because everyone, again, has different goals with their lifestyle. Some people are young and they want to hustle, and they got no family and kids or whatever. Some people have family and kids and they have grandkids and they want to make sure they spend a lot of time with them, and all the power to them. Let's make sure you're really efficient and effective with the time that you are willing to put into your business. All right, this template will cover all of this. All right? Absolutely. You guys will get this template. Okay, so this is the blank one, and I'm going to show you a sample. Okay, so the sample is going to show you what a filled out one looks like. Okay? First, okay, is client transaction data. Okay, so hopefully you have this in the CRM and you have this somewhere, and if you don't, this actually may be the most time-intensive thing that you have to do, is get all your transaction data in one place. I find this is one of the more time-intensive things to do that maybe does take longer than 60 minutes to get done, but once you do it once, you never have to do it again. And all you got to do is just add your new deals to the template as they come in, which does not take very much time at all. Okay? And so this is something you're just going to have to grin and bear it, okay, and just get this done if you don't have it already in one place. Now let's go over the columns. Okay, column A is the date that the deal closed, whether it be a buyer, a seller, or lease, or whatever you do. Then the client name, the type of the transaction. Now, in this template, if you click on it, okay, there's a drop down. So in the future sheet, we actually do an analysis of how many buys did you do versus how many sales did you do versus how many leases, because it's important to see your distribution of transactions and go, am I happy with it? Do I want more buyers? Do I want more sellers? Because again, based on where you're at and where you want to go, that totally changes the plan. Okay, so the key to this template is to make sure everything inputted here is uniform. If I type in sell with a small s, that will actually mess up all my automation in this template that gives you answers and insight into your business without you having to do anything. Okay, so for this column and a few others, make sure that you record things exactly the same way. All right, buy, sell, or lease. Next is the listing price and the sales price. So what was the listing price, whether it be a buyer or a seller, and then what did it actually go for? And then over here, it automatically calculates your over and unders. And these are really important fields to know because you can use this in your marketing. So when it comes to sales and marketing, for you to be able to know your average percentage that you get over for sellers and under for buyers, your average dollar amount that you get over for sellers or under for buyers, or whatever that statistic is, you may look at it and go, wow, we don't use this statistic in our marketing, and that's going to help us stand out and differentiate. Because there's a lot of realtors who say a lot of fluff, okay, and this template will give you some data that you can use for your sales and marketing that's going to help you get more clients, okay, and it will automatically calculate it for you. Next, you got your GCI, okay, so this is your gross. Now I work clearly with Americans because, you know, they put 3% because there's some 6% states down in America. For you, whatever your gross is that you split, right, with the other agent. And heck, if you double-ended it, great, put the bigger percentage in there. Okay, but you have to put in what you make gross. Okay, it'll then calculate what you make gross. But really, when it comes to business and life, it doesn't matter what you make gross. It doesn't really matter. What matters is your net. And your net is a function of if you have to give a flat fee to your broker, or if you have to give a percentage of those commissions to your broker. And then this will, and if you have to give a referral commission because maybe some other agent referred you that business. And so you put in those numbers and it will tell you the most important ones, which is your net revenue and your net GCI. Okay? And we're going to use these numbers in the future for goal setting, because when you say I want to make $150,000 or $200,000 or whatever that number is, you should be thinking about net, not gross. And you want to create a plan around net. So we're going to use these numbers later to show you what your average net is per deal, because that, again, is important for your life. All right, and then finally, we want to see where our deals come from. This may also be a thing that you may not know. I find a lot of realtors also don't track where their deals come from. And it will take time to get this data, but every single time I've had to do an audit, even of my own businesses, where I have to go and call a bunch of clients or do a bunch of research to figure out where my business comes from, it is so insightful. So whatever time it takes you to get this data, do it. You will be such a smarter business owner when you know what type of client it was. Was it an investment, a relocation, a first-time home buyer, downsize, upsize? Was it just a lifestyle shift? Okay, what type of home was it? Was it a condo? Was it a townhouse? All these different options. Okay, and then what was the source? Now the source, there's just three. Okay, it's either a relationship where the person used you because they already knew you. There was a pre-established relationship in place. Or it was a referral. Person used you as a realtor because you were referred that business, or it was advertising. And if you don't know if a deal was either relationships or referrals, it was probably advertising. Open houses is advertising. Prints, advertising. Buying leads online is advertising. Door hangers, bus benches, like pretty much everything is advertising if it's not you already knew me and that's why we're doing business, or you were referred to me and that's why we're doing business. And you really want to segment, because one of the things I see a lot of agents do is they put a lot of time and money into advertising and marketing when the majority of their business comes from relationships and referrals. And maybe they need to see these numbers, smack them in the face to be like, hey, you have more business coming from this area. You should spend more time and money on building new relationships and giving value to your relationships, because that's where your business comes from. Or some people who are new into the business, who spend a lot of money on advertising and marketing, have a lot of deals coming from advertising, not a lot from relationship and referrals, and they want to change that. So if you want to change your business, you need to change your business. It sounds really simple, but it's a phrase that I find a lot of entrepreneurs don't take to heart. Okay? So, any questions so far?
I actually do have a question. So can we break that down even further? So for advertising, so these cells that are on the right, I'm assuming we can touch. So if it's for advertising, for example, if it comes from advertising that I did within my farm, if I'm a farmer. Okay, so if I'm farming and I'm getting the deal because of that versus a Facebook advertisement, and that's how I got that business. I'd like to see that. So
good question. So over here in Project Get Clients, we break down each marketing campaign. Here's how much time and money I spent on these things. Here's the result I got from it. Therefore, here's this data that talks about my conversion rates and how many flyers I need to send to get a deal. So if my goal in the future is to have this many relationship-based deals, this many referral-based deals, and I still do want some more deals to come from advertising, then what's the math to now reach that goal? So we break down the individual advertising stuff over here. Yeah, good question.
So any of the drop-down fields, select?
Use it.
Only select one of the items in a drop-down?
Thank you very much, yes. Yeah, keep it simple, just stick to the template if there's a drop-down. Some fields like this, there's just, you gotta put whatever it is in there, because there's just infinite options in the wild, wild west of brokerage splits. Any other questions?
If I start out now with this template, how far do I go back? 1 year, or let's say I had a year last year, do I go back 2 years, 3 years, or whatever?
Thank you so much. Last 12 months. So not 2018, because we're already in February, last 12 months. So when you want to think about creating a mathematical equation to go from where you're at to where you want to go, you want to look at year over year. So last 12 months, and so every single month, all my agents take out the previous month's data, and then they add the new month's of data, just for transactions. So just go back 12 months, and that will give you the best picture for your business. Because if you go back too further, the industry and your performance may have changed. If you only do 3 to 6 months, it's not long enough to create some precision. Anything else? All right, let's move on. So once you put this in, there's a whole bunch of green cells here, so you don't have to touch anything. But this is an important sheet to look at because this is where you start thinking about how do I want to change my business. So here's how many transactions I did in the last 12 months. Here's my volume. Here's my average GCI, my total, my net revenue. Here's my median. Here's my average. Here's my average over and under. Okay? So when you look at these numbers, you want to ask yourself, do I like it? Do I want it to go up? Do I want it to go down? What? Because if you want to have a higher median, then there's a whole bunch of marketing things that you can do to make that happen. If you want to do more deals, there's a whole bunch of math later to help you figure that out. So when you look at this, you just got to ask yourself what you like or dislike about the number, if you want it to go up or down. Same thing with the distribution of buyers and sellers and leases. Okay, how do I want those numbers to change? That affects your marketing. The distribution of deals from the different sources. Again, when you think about goal setting, which will come in soon, how do I want these numbers changing? Okay, and when you look at types of clients and types of homes, this may give you some insight into something that you may be really good at and something that you could, again, use for your marketing. Like if you have 63% detached, or, wow, I do a lot of upsizing, maybe in my marketing I can talk about, and I can now show data to be like, no, I am an expert at helping people move up. You know, 42% of my business is helping people move up, and so that's where you want to list with me, and I can help you buy a home, because I do this all the time. So use this data to help you figure out some marketing tips and tricks. All right, stuff to add to your sales and marketing. Question?
The average over or under section, that combines both your buys and your sells. So what if you wanted to separate that so you know that your buys are under and your sells are over?
Good question. So that actually came up last 2 weeks ago when I did this. So before I send this template out, I'll divide those cells out. Good question. Thank you so much. All right, any other questions? It does. It's great. No, I saw that mistake in the template. Anything else? Because over time what happens is, you know, there's new kinds of deals happening, so if you don't even see the kind of deal that you do on here, then you can let me know and I can incorporate it into the template and send it back to you.
So you're using historical data practically 1 year. What is if I change my target and say I'm going now after detached home before I went, for example, after condos? So how would I do that? So
yeah, so that's a strategic decision. So if you all of a sudden see you've done a lot of detached homes and you're like, I don't want to do that next year, then great. You don't have to do that next year. We can create a plan for that. The idea of seeing your past data is to see, is there anything I can use here for my sales, for my marketing, and how do I want my business to change? Because once you make those decisions, then in the future, you can, in this template, you'll then start putting all those changes that you want into the template. Does that make sense?
So basically, I create what I want to do, and then I put that.
You are the master of your ship, absolute captain of it. All right? Now let's get into the market, okay? So this is the most important number in real estate. And we just found it out for the Durham region, but I recommend you find this out for all the towns or neighborhoods that you want to do business in. Okay, if you have a sheet of paper, because this is the best way of explaining it, I want you to draw a circle. Okay, this circle represents the market. Okay, so it's a pie, all right, and the whole pie is all the homes that you can sell in that market. Whatever you're trying to say that market is, it could be Durham region, could be Oshawa, could be Whitby, whatever that area is you want to define, that's the whole circle. And you should be looking at, and this is why I want to push brokerages and associations to get these numbers from the government, how many sellable homes are there? That is what matters in business, is the market size, because that's your playground to play in and make money in. And a lot of people just don't think about it. How many sellable homes are there, period? And a lot of these reports give you a lot of great information when you talk to a client about what's likely going to happen when you do sell with me based on days on market and you know, over and unders. But when it comes to getting clients, which is the #1 problem in business, these numbers are useless, and the number I'm going to show you is the most important number for helping you do all your prospecting, relationship building, marketing, advertising, everything. So I want you to draw a pie sliver that looks around 10%, okay, of that pie. or 5% even, because that's what Durham region is. So if you do the numbers, okay, for Durham region, there's around 190,000 sellable homes. Okay? And in the census data, sometimes it has dwellings or households. And what happens is sometimes it includes all apartments and all rentals that you can't sell. So whenever you do this number, you got to take out all the rental units, because no one can buy and sell those things. You can buy and sell the whole complex, but we're always talking about usual single units. So you take out the rentals, and that gives you your total sellable homes, 190,000 for Durham region. And you want to do the same thing for all your individual towns in your area. Next is how many total homes in the last 12 months sold. Okay, and for Durham, it was 8,941. So that was how many homes sold out of the 190,000.
What was that number?
8,941. So the sliver is 8,941. The whole pie is 190,000. And so you just divide one into the other, sold divided by sellable, okay, and you get 4.7%. That is the percentage of the market that's sold in the last 12 months. It's not a lot, and this number is always higher than realtors think. And I always say this is the reason why people don't hit their goals, because they underestimate how often people move, or they overestimate how often people move. 4.7%. And so if the market, the way the turnover rate works, okay, which you should do every quarter, if the market continues at this pace, how many years would it take for, in theory, that whole pie to sell? And so if you see 100% of the pie and 5% sliver sold, you got 20. 10% sold, 10. 20% sold, 5. Very rarely do you see that 20%, and really the reason why you see markets with turnover rates of 5 to 10 years is because they're doing a lot of building. And so the new sales as well as old sales divided by old sellable plus all the new builds creates these really big percentages of absorption. Okay, and so once you get that percentage, you just do 100 divided by that percentage. So 100 divided by 4.7 is 21. So that is the average time that people are holding onto their homes. That's the turnover rate. 21 years. That is the average number of years that people are holding onto their homes. And the great thing about this number, if it's higher than you expected, it's okay, because what that means is for every 21 people that you meet, one person will be selling that year. Think about how that affects your database, how many deals you get out of your database, how many referrals you get out of your database, how if that number goes from 21 to 25 because of interest rates or new tax laws or whatever, you're gonna have to have more relationships. You're going to have more conversations. You're going to have to do more print. You're going to have to do more online ads. You're going to have to do more of everything. If the number goes down, speeds up, hey, I can just do more deals this year with that same amount of effort, or I can chill out and not do so much and still hit my goals. It is the most important number in real estate, and any business for that matter, for getting clients in a systematic and predictable way. Questions?
Number with postal box. If you take the postal box of all homes in, for example, in Oshawa, wouldn't you get the number how many homes are available?
So if you want to do down to the postal code, and you can go to Canada Post.
You said the number is not available, but if I would take all the postal box.
Yes, and so one of the ways to get the number for your postal code, if you want that number, is to go to Canada Post. They'll usually tell you the total households in that area. They may not tell you rentals, but so then you got to kind of play it by ear, or be conservative and say, all that's going to happen if I have a bigger number of sellable homes than reality is my percentage goes down, my turnover rate goes up, and it forces me to do more, okay, of everything in order to hit my goal, which if the number's actually lower, then I might just hit my goal faster. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being conservative on this number. What's worse, and what a lot of agents do, is they are not conservative. They're on the other side of the spectrum. They think people move every 6 to 8 years. Was a really common answer I asked when I asked this question to people. Okay, so know these numbers for the postal codes you want to work in, the towns and cities you want to work in, and then what you do is you can just use this template, put the numbers in here, and then it will calculate it for you. And then you just do it again and again. You can just keep copying this table for as many times as you want to calculate the turnover rate. Because if you have a turnover rate in one area of 21 years, another one of 25, another one of 30, which one should you do more advertising in? Which one should you do more prospecting in, more door knocking, more cold calling, more follow-up, more everything? So when you do these numbers, it will prioritize where you should be spending your time and money, geographically. Okay? The next thing that I recommend people research is the market share distribution. Okay? Because when you think about thinking about areas to focus in, if there are agents who have 30, 50%, or the top 1, 2, 3 agents, hopefully you are one of them, but if you're not and you see a market, a postal code, or an area where there's 1, 2, 3 agents with more than 50% market share in that area, then you got to have a really good reason to want to work that area, because it's just going to be harder. And that's okay. If I live in an area and there's a top dog, all right, screw it, I'm going to take them on because I live here. And the number one reason why people pick an agent, local market knowledge. You do not have to be the top producer. If you live in the area that people want to buy and sell, people see that as way more important than the fact that you sell a lot of homes there nowadays. Okay? So do these numbers because it might also give you some insight into some other markets that you want to go in because it's more fragmented. If there's not a lot of people with not a lot of market share, then it's much easier to break in and start taking #1 spot. And there is real momentum. I've seen this time and time again. Once you start getting in the top 3 for an area, you get real momentum to carry your business forward. Because there is that social proof element, which is a huge element of persuasion in this world, is social proof. I do a lot of deals here. It really does help. And the fact that I live here and do a lot of deals here, now you'll have a much higher chance of having consistent business. Right? That's what we all want as entrepreneurs. We want consistent business. Okay? So picking the right geographic area is going to help. And so this template will help you pick the right area. Any questions?
How did you find out what the other agents?
So your broker at MLS, you can see how many deals they've done. You can get your broker can give you that number. There's a lot of things that I recommend agents need to be pushing and shoving more to their broker and to their association to be like, give me these numbers, because I need these numbers to be successful. And so they don't, for whatever reason, they don't just make this known a whole lot easier. So I recommend, for your business and your livelihood, you push and shove and get these numbers. Okay. All right. Next, goal setting, the fun stuff. Okay. This is where we get to start dreaming and thinking about what we want to do. All right. So really simple though. How many transactions do you want to do? What's the average home price that you want to have? Okay. Then we'll calculate your volume. Okay. Because you don't want to think about volume. You want to think about people that you serve and what's their average home price. It will calculate your volume, which if you don't like the volume, you can just change these 2 numbers around. These are the 2 numbers that you change, and then you look at your volume, and then based on your net GCI, which is pulled from the data, so you don't have to re-put it in there, it will then tell you how much money you're going to make net, because that's what matters. Okay, and so then this is where you start looking at these numbers and being like, am I happy with these numbers? And if you want to go really big and put some big numbers in there, we'll find out later if you can actually do it. And that's okay, right? Like if it takes a couple years to get to a certain goal, it is what it is, versus putting something that's just really not feasible financially or lifestyle-wise, and then you get discouraged and then demotivated, and then you really don't hit any good number. Okay, there are some people out there who talk about 10x goals and all that stuff, and I've tried all these different methods of goal setting, and for me, you got to find that right balance of. I asked myself this question, and I asked all my sales reps now and all my clients. I said, you got to believe about at least 6 out of 10, if not 7 or 8 out of 10, that you can hit this number. If it's 9 or 10 out of 10, that's not a goal. That's just doing work. But if you can have about a 75% belief that you can hit that number, that's usually a good goal. It's challenging, but it's not, out of the ordinary. Okay? Because what will happen is, if you're at 12 deals a year and you want to get to 1 a week, 48 or 52, and you're like, you just really don't believe it, you're about like a 2, 3 out of 10 belief, but 24 deals seems a little more manageable to be able to do, then focus on that, because when you hit that, what's the belief of 48 going to have? It's going to go up. right? And we're not here to make money in 1 year. We're here to have a career. We're here to have, a lifestyle. And I keep saying that word again because entrepreneurship is really hard. Real estate is one of the toughest businesses out there. You guys have so many different things to do, so you might as well make it easy on yourself and just gradually just climb every single year. There's nothing wrong with a business that grows every year. A lot of people don't have that. So if you can have a business that grows every year, pat yourself on the back, okay? Next, you want to think about, okay, how do I want my distribution? Do I want buyers? Do I want sellers? How do I want this broken down? Now, all you got to do is just make sure that this number right here equals this number up here, okay? All right, and then you want to figure out where do I want the deals coming from? So you can look at your data from before and go, how many deals do I want coming from people that know me versus people that refer me versus advertising? And what I'm going to show later when we do advertising is my belief for all solopreneurs who don't have assistants is that you should not have multiple streams of advertising and leads. There's a lot of people out there, and I've tried lots of different approaches. There's a lot of people out there who say you need to have 5, 10 different streams of advertising and leads. If you're a solopreneur without an assistant, when you have a team and you have maybe a marketing person manage that stuff for you, that approach will spread you thin, will create complexities, and that will decrease execution, and that's the key to business is execution. Simplicity is the key to execution, and so I find a lot more success with my clients when they find the one, and that's what we're going to do today, is help you figure out what's the one form of advertising that I'm the best at, that I have the best ROI at, on my time and on my money, and I'm going to go all in on that one. I'm going to exhaust it, and then once I've exhausted it and I can't do any more deals in that way, then I'll add another one. And usually at that point, you'll be able to have an assistant and maybe a marketing person outsource, and then you really will be able to handle more streams. I think that's one of the worst pieces of advice that's out there, and I've taken it, I've applied it, and I've seen the downsides of having too many forms of advertising that I'm trying to manage, and all of them not doing well. And I really feel like everyone's got a superpower, whether it be open houses, or direct mail, or lead generation, or content creation. Find the one that's your best at, and just go all in. And have a relationship-based business and a referral-based business. I have met one realtor who says, I don't want relationships and referral-based business. Unless, they're just a straight digital marketer that doesn't really care about real estate. I have a little section down here for team leaders because when you're a team leader, you want to make sure that, hey, here's my team size goal, here's my current size, so I need to add this many people, here's my goal for volume and for transactions for the team. And so when I give this template to my agents, I need to make sure that the number up here is bigger than this number. Because this number basically says if we need to do 120 transactions and I am going to do this many, and I have a team of 5, then I need to make sure each person is doing at least 17. Okay, so if any of you guys have teams out there, this is just a really simple thing to get your team ready to do this plan, and you can oversee and make sure that they're at least putting this number in there. Or else you need to figure out how to get more team members or something else. Okay? All right. Now for the fun stuff as well as the hard stuff, this is getting clients and figuring out the marketing and the math behind all marketing. And that's the beauty about marketing is it's all math. And it's really systematic and predictable once you know the data. Okay? And that's going to be one of the other things that maybe some of you have troubles with. And that's fine because everyone starts somewhere, is knowing your numbers for how you did in all these different campaigns. And if you don't know your numbers, I'll give you some benchmarks today from stuff I've seen time and time again. Cool? All right. So first is prospecting to get clients. Okay? Don't shy away from this word prospecting. Okay? It is the essential, at the end of the day, that's all business is. Prospecting and service. And if you can get to a point where all you do is prospect and build relationships and nurture those relationships and then serve your clients, I think most people would appreciate not having to spend money on advertising to go create the business they want. Okay? So why we get into business, when you choose to do advertising, think about this. When you choose to do online lead generation, again, I do it, and I love it for lots of reasons, but I didn't get into business to start deploying a strategy that would yield me the lowest ROI. because that is what online lead generation will do without fail. There is no way that online lead generation can yield a better ROI than relationships and referrals. It's math, it's impossible. And so when people go too deep in advertising to buy leads, they're basically saying, I'm going to have a low ROI business. Now, you may still deploy it to get more deals and help your team out, or get some cash coming in. Okay, and that's, again, why I like it. But I really encourage, and I hope all of you use this math today to make it seem more possible to build your entire business on relationships and referrals. A lot of people think they just wait for that business to come. You don't have to do that when you have the math and you have a strategy to now go get it. Okay, and that's what entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is all about, is go get it. Okay, so the only number you got to put here for prospecting to get clients is your turnover rate. Okay, so when we did the numbers for, you'll in your market statistics over here put something, and it might say 21 based on the numbers that we just did. It'll then automatically pull over how many deals do you want to get from relationships. Okay, from people that know me and they just choose to use me. Then the number that you do need to put in here is your close ratio. Okay, and this is not your close ratio of the deals that get done when you're working with someone. This is, I'm in a buyer consultation, I'm in a listing presentation, what percentage of those people start working with me versus the competition? And if you don't track that number as salespeople, as that's a very big part of your job, that's another thing that you absolutely must track. And it's as simple as just having an Excel sheet or a piece of paper where you just write down all the people that have told you in face-to-face or over the phone, I'm looking to buy, I'm looking to sell, and then how many of them did I close and win as a client and start working with? And then on another column, did the deal get done? And that will give you the two important numbers for sales and math, which is what percentage of people I work with actually get done and close and I make money, and how many listing presentations do I need to be in to get the closed number of deals that I want to get. Okay, so for prospecting, if my close ratio is 75%, which hopefully yours is between 65 and 85, that's the research that comes out there, is the average homeowner interviews 1.7 realtors, which would yield a 60% close ratio, or the other statistic is 85% of homeowners only interview one agent. Right? This is great news for agents. People only interview one agent 85% of the time, which means in order to get to 1.7, when they do interview people, they're interviewing 3 to 5 people. And do relationship-based clients interview people? No. Do referral people interview agents? No. Advertising, that's where you got to fight for that business, and where's the commissions get squeezed? From people that know you, like you, trust you, or for the people that don't give a crap about you? You know what I was about to say. Okay, so this template will show you, if you want to make this many deals from relationships, how many people do I need to prospect per year, per month, per week, and per day? Okay, and prospect, the definition of prospect is I have a conversation where I ask the person if they're thinking about buying or selling, and I have a relationship with that person so that they tell me the truth. Because when I somehow heard realtors say, yeah, I do lots of prospecting, I stand outside the mall, I stand outside Starbucks, and I just go up to people and I ask them, if they've had any thoughts of selling. And I say, well, if I was moving later that day and you did that to me and I didn't know you, I would lie to your face. And that is what especially millennials will do. And I think most people now in this world will do. They'll just straight up lie to you if they don't know you, like you, trust you, and want to give you the truth. So the definition of prospecting is you ask that question, but you have to have a relationship with that person so that they tell you the truth. But once you do that, now there's lots of different techniques to now just go do that every single day at whatever frequency you got to do it at. Okay? And if you guys want, I'll talk about a system at the end that I created for my wife and I so that we could do it, right? So that my trainers could do it, as well as she could do it in our community in Liberty Village in Toronto. We created this system that I have never seen a better ROI on time or money period, on the market. And we did it for ourselves, and then agents in Toronto, you can thank the Wright sisters, they came to us and said, I want to do what you guys are doing, and they forced us to turn it into a business where we give agents our system. Okay, but it's all about playing this math and being really efficient at it. Because door knocking and cold calling sucks, right? The old school ways of doing it, Mike Ferry systems, Brian Buffini systems, I love them. They're great. They have some learning, but I find them a little bit old school, a little bit salesy and cheesy. Okay, so to be able to do this though, this really does work. This is the bread and butter of an agent. Now, the other thing you got to think about is how much money and time do you spend per person to be able to prospect? Because this goes into your budget and this goes into your lifestyle of like how much prospecting can I do based on how good I am at it. And if any of you are thinking in your head, I don't spend any money to prospect, and you want to get more deals through relationships, this will prompt you to maybe think about how can I spend money on people I don't know and people that I do know so I can prospect them to now go get the business. Because the math is really simple. I have this one sheet here. And I'll give you a link to this calculator. I know you gotta zoom in. But if you're just like, you can literally, if you have a way to prospect people, you don't have to do anything. And that really simplifies your business. And you will probably get referrals, most people do, from their relationships. But if you don't even have to have referrals to hit your goal, then what happens is you just start giving more value and being a great person, and the more referrals actually even end up coming. Right? When people try to force referrals, I find you may get one out of a person, but then never again. Okay? So this is a calculator you guys have where you just start putting in the numbers of how many deals do I want to do, what's my turnover rate, how many weeks do I want to take off for vacation, therefore how many prospect meetings do I need to have per week, how much time does it take for me to do all this, how much time does it take to serve all those clients that I'm going to get, and then at the end it breaks down your workload. This is how many hours per week to get these clients I want to get and to serve these clients that I want to serve. And then I can look at this number and go, I can do that, or I can't. It's really, really simple math, and simplicity is the key to execution.
You had your 75% ratio to close, meaning in an appointment I am that I get 3/4 of my appointments.
Yeah, 10 people you sit down with for a listing presentation, 7 become your client, 3 don't.
But you don't track the number, how many people I have to talk to or whatever to get an appointment?
So that comes from this math right here. Okay, so instead of that turnover rate, so that 21 years, okay, so if 21 years is a turnover rate, and you talk to 21 people and ask them if they had any thoughts of selling, and you have a relationship with them so that they'll tell you the truth, one will say yes, I am thinking about selling. And that's the beauty of that number is now you just play that number, and if your close ratio is 50% for easy math, I talk to 42 to find 2 to close 1. And so 42 becomes my magic number. And then now I just need to repeat that process and that flow over and over and over again. And my urge for all people, whether they work with me or any company out there, is find a way of prospecting that you enjoy, and you will keep doing it, and you will get the results you want. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so the things you want to put down in this table is what things am I buying to help me prospect, to give me a reason to go talk to people, to help me build a relationship with that person so I can ask them that question and get the truth out of them. What am I going to buy to go help me do that? And how much time am I going to likely spend to now effectively, stay in touch with this person? Because you're going to stay in touch with people that you know in your database, and you're going to hopefully try to talk to more people that you don't know, and you're going to have to do phone calls for it, you're going to have to do emails for it, DMs on social media, you have to maybe go see them face-to-face for coffee. You want to think about all the things you're probably going to do with each person, how long it's going to take, and then it will tell you how many hours you're spending and how much money you're spending per person based on how much you leverage your investments to meet people and what your process is for that person. Okay? And this will help us later figure out when I want to do this many deals through relationships, and here's my process, what's that effect on my lifestyle? Is it possible? Do I have more time in the week to do even more? Because I sometimes find realtors have a goal and then they have numbers, and I go, you have way more time left. So either use it for time for family and friends and fun, or go work harder and make some more money. Okay? We want to maximize life, and this will help show you your capacity and as a professional. All right, next is relationship building. Okay, so here's stuff that you do with people that you know because you want to earn their referrals. So again, there's a process. There's stuff that you plan to do with all your relationships, from a phone, text, email, social media. There's a system that you should have that you just adhere to say, I'm going to spend this much time to stay in touch with people, and I'm going to spend this money to give people in my database that I know to add more value to them, because I know that last year I have a database size of this number. So this is the number that you put in here, is how big is my database of relationships? Okay, not just names, numbers, and emails that you may have bought. These are relationships that you have. And I got this many referrals last year. Okay, and that came from your market analysis. So we pull over how many referrals you got last year, because then it will show you your conversion rate of, like, I have a database of this size, and my conversion rate to getting referrals out of that database is 3%, 5%, 8%, 10%, you know, and I see a range of, you know, average agents are 1 to 5%, good agents are 5 to 10, great agents are in that 10, 20, and I've seen as high as 30% before of people in their database who refer them business. Okay? Because if you want to get more referrals, more relationships. That's it. You could do the same thing that you're currently doing, which you know how to do, just with more people, and then you'll make more money. And you can predict that because it's your history, it's your performance that we're using. Okay? Any questions around that? Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, next section is open houses. All right, so who here does open houses? Raise your hand. I want to see how. Cool. All right. So how many open houses did you do last year? How many transactions did you get because of the open house? And usually it's how many buyers did I get because of the open house? And so based on that, what's my conversion rate on open houses? So all this stuff will calculate, and then we'll tell you, hey, if open houses is the advertising form that I love and maybe I'm really good at, I should double down on that and stop the other forms of advertising that drain my time and attention and money, and go even harder on open houses, do more of them, make them bigger and better because I like them and I'm clearly good at it, and later we'll see the math behind if the cost to acquire a customer from open houses is better than print or better than leads, or which one is actually better. And that's the key to business, is just what's the lowest cost to acquire a customer, what's that channel, and just do that one, as long as you like it, okay? So based on how many, if you were to do all your advertising-based deals from your goal setting sheet, if all of those deals were to come from open houses, what would I have to do? And you may look at the number and go, that's impossible. And so then maybe you stop doing open houses and start doing more of something else. You do not have to do open houses. It's just a form of advertising. Now you may have to do it for your client to make them happy, okay? But maybe you give a junior agent that open house and you spend that time doing something completely different that is better for your business, okay? Which is a huge luxury in Canada, is the ability for people to do each other's open houses a whole lot easier. In the States, they don't have that. It's not that easy to just do open houses if they're not yours. Question?
Yeah, you can also improve on your skill of doing the open house. That's something that's missed a lot.
Yep, totally.
I'm no good at that, so I'm just gonna.
Totally.
I do believe in working on your talents and on what you're good at, but I think open housing can be pretty productive.
So I've seen open houses be wonders for people. I've seen it not. For me as an entrepreneur, I go, do I like it? First and foremost, does this align with my personality and my values? I may be good at it, but I might hate it. And then it's like I take that hate into my relationships in my life. So for me, number one is, do I like it? Because I'll even do something that doesn't give me a better ROI as long as it's not too much worse if I like it a whole lot better. And so again, all these decisions come into it. And then my execution training I've done is if people are doing open houses, it's like, here's how much money you spend to advertise it to get people to it. Here's how much money you spend to make it great. Which people say, I don't spend any money on open houses. And I say, okay, well, we should work on that because it's a form of advertising. And you can spend more money if you know that if you do 3 open houses, you get 8 people, 6 people, and 10 people, and you get one buyer out of it, and your ROI at the end of all your investment is still great, then why don't we spend more money on each open house to get the sum of those 3 open houses attendees in one open house? And then you accelerate your results from that one open house because, yeah, people can do things a whole lot better. And when you focus on one thing, it gives you the energy and time and money to actually really exhaust that channel. So yeah, I have no romance around anything because depending on the person's personality and depending on the market and depending on their results, there's no person should say, oh, this one's way better than the other thing. That's just bad advice. This is a generalization. Okay. Next, buying online leads. Okay, who here buys online leads? 1, 2, less people? Cool. Okay, so again, there is a whole training that could be done on how to do it well. And what I find a lot of people do with leads is it's not like you can just buy leads. You have to have a whole infrastructure to effectively nurture all those leads and put them and have an email system and a texting system and a value-based offering system and all these different things to make sure they close because most will close 6, 12, 24, 36 months later. But if you do the system properly, you can actually get a good return on it. But for people that do it, here's some really simple math. Okay, so this doesn't include the investments that you may have to make in email or in texting software or in CRMs or automation tools to do lead generation well. This is just if I can buy leads, and last year I spent this much money on leads, I got this many leads, and I got this many deals from leads. What's my conversion? Which people are finding the conversion rate on leads is about 1, 2, 3%. Okay. If I was to again just go all in on leads, because maybe some of you should be doing leads. It's possible. And so if you would go all in on leads for your advertising-based goal, how many would I need to buy? And what is my cost per lead? And then how much time do I spend per lead? Okay, so another thing, again, when it comes to the next sheet, we're going to talk about how all the different marketing schemes compare against each other so that you can, remember I said at the beginning, pick the right strategy. It's the most underrated and important skill in business is to figure out where is the best use of my time and my money. And so for that, I need to actually think about how much time do I spend tracking that lead down via phone? How much time do I spend emailing that lead, texting that lead, creating the email marketing for that lead, all that stuff. Because leads do take time. They just don't take time up front. They take time after. And that was usually a big misnomer I have. Oh, leads are so much easier than prospecting and relationship building. I said, up front, you're right. I just give money and wait for the lead to come. But on the back end, I got to do a whole lot of work for that lead, and then I'm competing in the presentation. Okay. Direct mail, same thing. You just put how many mailers did I do? How many transactions did I get? Okay, then it'll show you your conversion rate, and if you were to just go all in on mail, right? People shit on mail, and I'm like, hey man, like it may work for some people in some markets, in some demographics. And so I still see it work really well for some people. Now, for some people, it works absolutely nothing, does nothing. But that would be something to figure out. And if that's the case, how many mailers would I have to send? What's my cost per mailer? Okay, all in. And how much time do I spend? Because you maybe still have to proof it. You maybe still have to drive to Canada Post and pick it up and deliver it, or drive to your printer or whatever. And how much, so this will tell you, again, how many campaigns do you have to do? And then later it'll show you the math behind it.
So they would do, what, $24,000 in this example, it would be $24,000 to make 3 transactions. Is that true?
So in this one? So this is, I sent out 3,000 mailers, so $250 a month to my farm area. I got 3 transactions from it. So here's my conversion. So if I want to do 6 next year, I got to send out 6,000, which means this much per month. Here's how much I spend per mailer. Here's how much time I spend, so half an hour a month. So here's how many campaigns I need to do monthly or yearly. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, content marketing. Okay, so this involves video, blogging, podcasting. It's all content. Okay, so when it comes to content, hey, how much money did I spend to boost my content? Which I have heard some, influential speakers out there about video and content who say, I don't spend any money to boost my content. And I say, well, you clearly don't know your math, because if you did, you would. Right? You maybe not at the beginning. Maybe when you first get started, you create content and you see organically what happens, and you wait to see the data to see like how it performs and stuff like that. But as soon as you start to see, I created some content, I got this many views, and this led to a lead. So if I do this many pieces of content for this many views, I get enough leads that one will close. And how much time and money did I spend to do that? Because if I spend money to promote my content more, I can just speed up and scale up my content. So anyone who says you should not spend money on content does not know marketing. And I know there's some influencers in Toronto who say that. And it just, there's a fear of spending, there's a fear of spending money on content. But I've scaled lots of businesses, do hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, and it all revolves around spending money on content. And it really works. Like there's a reason why social media and content are getting a lot of press in business. The ROI on this stuff, you'll find, a lot of you will find that this is where a good ROI is. So I was in Silicon Valley and at Facebook's headquarters for a marketing thing, and they straight up said, and this is back in 2016, which is why I started spending money on content. They said, yeah, organic doesn't work anymore. And we require people to play. That is straight from Facebook's mouth. They're too big, there's too many people on it, there's too much content being created. They're doing their best now after the whole Congress stuff to figure out how to show more stuff from your friends, which is why a lot of businesses are now using their personal account. Again, I'm not going to get too deep into social media, but Facebook algorithms changed so that if you want to get more organic reach, do stuff in your personal account. But if you want to get real results, spend the money.
So I'm a fairly new agent, and I've seen where you can boost your content, but what do you mean about content, like marketing content?
Yeah, so this is content that was built specifically to generate leads. So if you do a live video of a walkthrough, that's not a piece of content to generate leads. It may end up getting you some brand exposure and some likes and fans and friends, which you should then DM and then start a conversation, and then you actually are using social media to prospect. A piece of content for lead generation is, I'm going to take someone off this platform, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever. I'm going to have links to go to a website, either your personal website, blog, wherever, where people can contact me, fill in forms, and I can get leads off that. Now, if someone, because I find this happens a lot on social media, someone will in the comments section say I'm interested in buying, I'm interested in selling, it's so good to see you're out there and great content, I need help, call me. Great, okay, then I would count that as a lead. But for every piece of content that I want to generate leads from, which is a decision, is this content for branding and for my client to be happy with me, or is this client for me to generate leads? With lead generation content, you want to make sure there's links to go to a place where they can fill in a form. That's the definition of a piece of content for leads. It could be a blog, where you just have a picture on Facebook and a link to your blog, and it goes to the blog, and on that blog, you want a really cool tool called Hello Bar. Okay, Hello Bar, it's a free tool that when people go to your website, in the very top, you can have a call to action, say, get a housing report, get know the valuation of your home, or whatever you find is the most click-worthy phrase, which you can then experiment. And so when people go to your website to read that blog, they can see that call to action, they can click on it, fill in a form, and then you get the lead. Or on the side of your page on the blog, you would want to have maybe some other forms or links to stuff that they can then go fill in some things out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I just don't know how all that works.
Okay, tell me more. What do you mean?
Okay, for example, like I'm huge on Instagram, and so sometimes like I will click on somebody's blog, and right away they want you to start filling out your email address so you will get automated emails.
Yep.
So who do you pay? How do you register?
To run the ads?
Yes.
So if you're going to do it yourself, what I'll do is I have a bunch of articles that will go much more in depth on this, and I can send it out to all of you on how to do retargeting and how to do Facebook lead generation and boost your posts and all that stuff. So I'll send that to you guys after. I'll send it to Darlene, and she can forward it out to everyone. When you have a business account on Facebook, there's just an ad manager. You just need to set it up. It's almost just like a second profile on another interface within Facebook. And Instagram ads are even run through that, as well as Facebook ads. Now, when it comes to boosting a post, you should just see the word boost, which happens only on a business page, not so much on a personal page. So if you want to boost something, you got to put it on your business page, which is fine because you're not trying to get organic on personal. You're trying to say like, no, I'm going to spend some money to get this to the right audience. And you press boost, and again, Facebook is just getting better and better at walking people through it. But I have an article that will go more in depth on that. Cool.
So Facebook is Facebook the best platform to target people because I can narrow it down whatever I'm after?
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Hands down. Google, if you're good at it, for sellers. Facebook is more for buyers. You can definitely get seller leads on Facebook, and Google is just really expensive, so you got to be good at it. The more easy stuff that I find more agents are more successful with is Facebook and Instagram for leads. Yeah, it's just where all the attention is. And that's the name of the game, attention. Okay, so when you look at this, how much money did I spend on boosted posts last year? Right, most people will spend $5, $10, $20 per boosted post until they start figuring out the data, and then you can actually start spending hundreds of dollars per post. Because once you know that if I get this many views to my website, I know I get this many lead clicks, and I need this many leads to actually get a client who then I make this much money on. Here's my ROI, and if it's good, then just spend more money to get more views to the website to get the leads coming in faster so you can close more deals faster. It's, and that's my execution template that I have for another training. Okay. How many pieces of content did you do? So blogs, video, podcast, doesn't matter. It's all pieces of content for leads. Okay, how many leads did I get? How many transactions did I close because of that? And then it breaks down your conversion rate. So if you were to go all in on content, right, which a lot of realtors say, oh, I don't have time to write a blog. And I'm like, well, that's because you just don't think it's going to work. If you did, and you thought it was going to give you a better ROI than open houses and buying leads and all this other stuff, then you would just cut that out and make time in your calendar to do it. Right? Everyone's got the time for everything. You just got to figure out what you want to give time to. And so this will tell you how many blogs or videos do I need to do in order to get the leads that I need to get to hit my target from advertising if I want to do it all through content marketing. Okay? And then how much time on average does it take me to create one piece of content? This is where, depending on where you're at in your business, when we look at the next sheet, which we'll do right now, there is a financial ROI and there's a real ROI. And the real ROI takes in consideration the time that you put into doing that thing, whatever that thing is, which is money, right? Time is money. If you make $100,000 a year and you work 40, 50 hours a week, you're looking at a per hour rate of $56 an hour. So these are things that you should be thinking about. One, because it shows you the real ROI of a campaign. And two, because if you can pay someone 10, 15, 20 bucks an hour to do something so you have more time to do the more important stuff that you can't delegate, like prospecting and serving your client, then you will now see the math to be able to make it make sense so that you don't have the fear of hiring an assistant or outsourcing a person to edit your videos or put together your social media. because you're like, I'm paying you this, my hourly rate is this, and I will replace that time I'm now not spending, which you got to do, with more prospecting and more servicing of the client. And that's how, again, you scale a business. Okay? So on this sheet, all right, first it breaks down, if you were to hit your goal, whatever that goal was for prospecting or for referrals or for advertising, how much money would it cost? This is pure just how much money would all these strategies cost? Notice they're all green cells, so you don't have to do anything. As long as you put the data in correctly, this will tell you how much it will cost you. Then right below, you want to figure out your time. So how much money did you make last year? How many hours did you work per day? How many days did you work per week? Okay, and work weeks. All right, and this will tell you your total hours worked and your cost per hour, which, again, one of the problems that I see all the time that I hate seeing, which is why I'm so passionate about business planning, is people who never take vacation. Because they're like, I can't. I'm like, well, why'd you get into business? Well, time freedom. Well, you're not having any time freedom. Right? The whole point about business is to make sure you have the quality of life that you want. So if you want to take off 8 weeks for vacation, great. You might have to work a little bit harder during the work weeks, but if the plan can make sense based on your data, you should feel confident booking that vacation, taking that time off, as long as you execute your plan. And so everyone should be making time for time off, because that's where you sharpen the saw, that's where you get to relax, that's where you get to learn and read more, and as well spend quality time so you don't burn out. Okay. Here it'll calculate how much time you have to spend, daily, weekly, monthly, for all these different activities, based on, again, the data you put in. So the quality of the data will yield a quality business plan. All right, so you have to be, you should have time every day, 15 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes. Once you have a good system for tracking your data, 15 to 30 minutes every single day to record your activities that day and the results of that day. You should have a good enough templates, okay? And, if they don't want me coming back, then I can send you guys a webinar training I did on the execution piece, okay? Where there's another template that helps you more quickly and easily every single day track your daily progress and daily results, so that it starts feeding you the data to put back in here. So you can adjust this every single month and every single quarter, so you're always on track and you're always looking at real results, okay? Because numbers don't lie. All right, so here's the total time. Here's your total cost. Okay, here's your time cost. So based on what you make per hour, okay, and how many hours you're spending, here's your time cost. And usually you'll see the biggest numbers in the relationship building and the prospecting as like, oh wow, like this is a lot of time money, all right, that goes into this. Which, hey, when you're brand new and have no budget and money, whatever. You can eat this money, all right? Maybe you can't out of your bank account for the other stuff. But it is cool to see, and it is insightful, especially when you start thinking about having a business where you have assistants and you have a team and you have, or you outsource people so you can do more of what you like and less of what you don't like. It is really cool to see the time and the real cost, because then you can start having a vision for your future where you pay people so you can spend less time on some time-intensive things, so the ROI on something becomes a whole lot better. Okay? So look at the real cost, and then down here you look at the cost to acquire a customer. This is the most important number in marketing. Okay? When people call you and they try to sell you on the cost per lead, tell them what is your average cost to acquire a customer that you're seeing from your clients. The cost per lead, whether it be from print or online buying or whatever, is irrelevant. I would rather spend $100 a lead and I only need 3 or 5 of them to close, or 5 or 10, than $5 a lead and I need 100, 200. Because my time to sift through and work all those leads decreases my potential. So people are like, oh, those leads are expensive. Okay, that could be a good thing. Okay? Anything expensive in business, I never say, oh, that's expensive. I say, how good can this actually be? Right? Because the most expensive things usually are the ones that really move the needle in your business. Lo and behold, assistants. right? They are usually the most expensive thing in the business. They're $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, but they can actually, you know, help you add another $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 to your net revenue. Okay, so here it breaks down your cost to acquire a customer. Okay, so you can see the real cost versus the paid cost. Because again, if you're brand new, you don't really care about the real cost, you care more about the paid cost. But if you are a team leader or broker and you only have a limited amount of time because you got to manage the team, you got to manage the brokerage, and then you want to produce, then maybe you will actually do less of certain things because you're like, you know, my real cost to acquire is lower in direct mail, and so I'm just going to continue to do that to keep filling my my bank account up while I manage my team and my brokerage. Okay, so again, depending on where you're at in your business, your decisions about what you do with this data will change. But at least you now have the data to make a smarter decision. And then at the end, you look at ROI. Okay, so that's the other important number, which is, okay, so if here's how much money I make, and here is my real cost, what's my real ROI? And if I was to have a paid cost, what's my paid ROI? And you want to look at the dollar figures, not the percentages, because percentages don't pay the bills, dollars do. Okay, so something can have a lower percentage but a higher dollar return, and I will take dollars every day. Okay, and what you might find is when you look at this, something's not really working. And you need to quickly cut the cord if something's not working. You know, I hate when I hear, and I get it, because it's all training and understanding, but the agent who says, well, I have to do this. And I'm like, well, are you getting a result from it? They're like, oh, I don't know. It's usually that magazine or newspaper or school thing that they just continue to invest in or spend money on because, hey, I stopped advertising in this magazine, and then my grandma or mother called me and said, are you still in real estate? And so I was like, well, if you don't think I'm in real estate, I got to start advertising there again. And, you know, it's far from the truth. You really just got to look at numbers. And again, I find people do that a lot. Okay? The last two slides, okay, is one lifestyle check. Okay, so on the previous tab, you're going to figure out which things you may want to make decisions on and where you want to spend your time, where you want to spend your money. So when you go over here, you want to put how many hours does it take to serve a buyer and to serve a seller. Which if you also don't know how many hours you spend from start to finish with a buyer on average and with a seller on average, that's another thing that you got to start tracking. And again, it's just a simple journal. Right? Just journal everything you do, and that includes the phone calls, the emails, the negotiations, the driving to the appointments, the showing them homes, the showing their home, the open houses, like everything that you do. And what you'll find when you do this journaling exercise, you might be like, wow, I can outsource that one. That one, I can pay someone on Fiverr or Upwork or something to get that done because that's really easy and I don't want to spend time on that anymore. So if you don't know these numbers, journal it because this will dictate your capacity. Right? You can say all you want about how many deals you want to do every year, but if it takes you 30, 40 hours to serve a client, you really only have so much time to go get clients. And sure, yeah, there's a whole other training on how do you be more efficient, and that's where technology is really coming to play these days. But you got to say, like, right now, here's where I'm at, here's how much time it takes to serve a buyer and a seller based on today's market. And so here's the projected workload. Okay, to get the clients that I want to get. So here's how many hours I need to spend every week to get clients. Okay, here is the thing I want to choose. So for this section, all you do is click one. So say I want to do direct mail and I don't want to do blogging. It'll automatically see these numbers changing on the right because it's now going to pull into the equation what I'm going to now choose to do that year to get the business. And then down here it'll say, well, you need this many hours to serve all the clients you're going to get because you're going to hit your goal because you now have a plan that's based on reality. You have to spend this many hours to go get clients. So here's how many hours per month and per week you need to execute your plan. And this is everything that you need to do in your business. Business, again, is simplified to time to get clients, time to serve clients. That's it. And when you look at this number, and you look at the net revenue you're going to make, you can just go, I like it, I don't like it, I can do it, cannot do it. So say 52 hours is too much for you, okay? Then I'm going to do this, and boom, now I'm down to 44 because I care most about lifestyle. Maybe I have the budget to do whatever, and I care more about lifestyle. Okay? Again, that's a total individual decision. So you need to use this to create an individual plan. And then over here, based on what you do for lifestyle, because I say lifestyle first, budget second, okay? You can go, okay, I'm going to do direct mail. And you can see the numbers changing with money. You can see the costs. The things you do have to put in here is how much money do you spend to help a buyer? How much money do you spend to help a seller? Because then when you think about the money you spend to get a client, the money you spend when you're serving the client, and then here's a really simple budget that you can start putting numbers in on a monthly or yearly, and it adds it up. Here's how much money to get clients. Here's how much money to serve clients. Here's how much money to operate my business. Here's my total costs. Here's my net revenue. Here's my profit before taxes. And this, you only want to put business stuff here. Don't put personal stuff here, because hopefully you have a business and you keep it separate from your personal, because then you'll have a business tax rate, which is lower than a person's tax rate, and then you have profit for life. Okay, and when you look at these numbers, then you put in just your general, like again, you can go deeper into finance, that's a whole other discussion, but this is just a quick, simple, quick and dirty business plan that will give you the quick insights to make decisions for your business. Because I can go, on average, I need to spend this much money per month for my life and for my family, so here's my profit. And so again, you just need to start now. When you do this first, you may go, oh, I'm unprofitable, and now I need to go change some things. I need to look at some of these expenses. Maybe I can cut some of these things out, because I'm not even buying leads anymore, so I can cut those expenses out because that was only for buying leads. I'm going all in with open houses. And you can start playing around with the numbers to make sure your business plan makes financial sense as well as lifestyle sense. Okay? So that's the template. Any questions? 101 on the dot. And we started a minute late, so I did do it in less than 60 minutes. So you tell the association you want me to come by. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to educate. Okay? Now, if any of you are in the room and you want help prospecting, or you want help relationship building, okay, you want to be able to give more value to the people in your database, you want to be able to add more people to your database really quickly and easily, I built a system for my wife and I, and I'll show you what it is. So if you guys have time, you're interested in how to stimulate relationship and referral-based business, which I find there's not a lot. Well, the reason why I built this was I could not find a solution out there that helped my wife and I stimulate relationship and referral-based business. So you have to go, I understand. That's totally fine. I will now show you this thing that we built and one of the clients that we work with. Okay. Anyone know Caddy? Okay, or Katie? So the whole premise behind why I built my company Park Bench is this is what I understood. Okay, and so even if you have to go, I would stick around for just remembering this. Okay, here are the top 6 reasons why people pick an agent. The number one thing, there was a really cool study that came out that analyzed sales across hundreds of industries. And they revealed that when consumers did not buy any product or service, and that's what they're doing, they're buying your service, the number one reason why is because they felt that they were misunderstood. The number one reason why people pick an agent is because they feel that that agent truly gets them. They understand their fears, their doubts, their worries, their likes, their dislikes, beyond the stuff that's on the internet, because like I do these interviews now, I mean that is what my clients and all this stuff do, and it's amazing what people will say on camera and say in an interview and put on social media, and then what's the truth. And that is why agents, when you think about the future, like I just came back from that conference where they're talking about the future of the industry and all these different tech companies and iBuyers and Zillow's coming to Canada and Realtor.com's coming to Canada and all these different things. it really gets realtors to re-center the question, what business am I really in? Before the internet, you were in the business of giving, people thought they were in the business. I mean, it's been the same since the dawn of time. But people thought they were in the business of giving people real estate information, giving people information about what homes were on the market. And then all of a sudden, you know, the internet came and IDX and VOW was formed and Realtor.ca and all these different Zillow and Realtor.com was formed. Now everyone's like, oh my God, that's my job. Like, you guys are giving all the information away. And then now we're kind of over that one because we realized that really wasn't our job. Our job was valuing homes. Our job was staging homes. Our value was driving people around. Our value was helping people see homes physically. Our job was all these different things that I promise you technology is going to replace a whole lot of that. And that's okay, because that's not even the job of a realtor. The job of a realtor, when you really ask that question of what business are you really in, you are the advisor and the consultant to help a person navigate that process in a fun, enjoyable way so they make the right decision and they have the right result, and the best result possible. And so the future is that you use technology to value homes for you. There will be a robot and machine learning that will do it better than you. I hope it comes faster, because that's one less thing for you to do. There will be great virtual reality eventually. That's probably a little bit far off, but there will be all these cool things that will take away all this minutia tasks that make you spend 20 to 30 to 40 hours with a client. And now you can get down to spending 5 to 10 hours per client, but all that time is sitting with them and looking at the data and looking at the information with them and helping them ask the right questions, because consumers, percentage of people that don't use a realtor has actually gone down. Even despite the fact that there's all this technology and all this data out there. Percentage of people that don't use an agent has gone, percentage of people that, use an agent has gone up. People that don't use an agent has gone down. And it's because of the complexity now. It's because as a homeowner, because of all this data, I want to really make sure I make the right decision. Because in the past, I could maybe see about 10 homes. Now I can see hundreds of homes in the same period of time. But now I'm way more confused and I'm way more busy in my life. So I want someone who lives and breathes this to help me walk me through this process. And that really is the getting to know them part. And that's why I feel anyone who's building their business on advertising is going to be done when the economy takes another dip. Because your business is the relationship piece. It is where you really sit down with someone and get to know what they like and they dislike and their fears and their doubts and their worries and what they do and what they need. And your ability to look around the community that you serve and go, you guys should meet, and you guys should meet, and you guys should meet. Because there's stuff that Google won't even tell you that I know because I've actually taken the time to get to know you. To me, that is the role of a realtor. And when I think really big picture, local professionals for that matter. Because you look at all the innovations happening in contractor world and in fitness world and all this other stuff. It's getting to a point where we're going to have robots and technology do a lot of our work, and it's going to now take us to be an industry expert, which for you is real estate and neighborhood, and to be a person that helps that buyer and seller ask the right questions. And the reason why you help them ask the right questions is because you actually ask the right questions to get to know them first. And that's what people are starting to realize, is that I want to work with an agent that really knows me. Number 2 is local market knowledge. So the other thing was, I had a client call me the other day. She said, Grant, we were talking about, pushing them to get out in their community more and meet more people and do more of these interviews, which I'll show you in a sec, because that's where you get to know people and build that trust and build that relationship. And she was like, oh man, you're totally right. I was in a listing presentation the other day with these 2 lawyers, and they asked me about the services in the community and the new tax laws. And I did not know the answer, and then I did not get the listing. I may follow up and I may close it, but I did not get it in that moment. And it's an example of a much greater trend of the standard, the bar for agents to know everything, to know everyone, and to know everywhere in your community. That is, again, what you have to do. And that's why technology is your friend, because it's like, I used to not have time to know everyone and know everything and know the community on a deeper level than Google. And in a way that when people ask me questions, I can facilitate the information in the moment, because I had to do all this other little stuff. And so the demands for you to be a local market expert is getting higher and higher and higher. And you can't take shortcuts, right? You really have to actually get out there. Yeah. If you want a card, I'll put some over here. That's okay. Number 3 is trust. We all know that. Responsiveness, which when you think about making people know that you're a responsive agent, getting on a texting relationship is the easiest way to show how responsive you are. Because that's where people are most responsive, which gives you the opportunity to show them that you're most responsive. So how do you get on a texting relationship with more people? By texting and getting their cell phone numbers. Okay? Local market reputation, right? Everyone talks about how big and great they are. Very few people can show it. And the demands for you to be able to show people that you're well liked and trusted in the community that you serve. That's becoming more and more important. And that's what people are saying. And then finally is referrals and reviews, right? If I was referred to you, if you get lots of referrals, if you have great reviews about you, then I'm more likely to use you. And so all these things my wife and I thought about in 2012 was this is what we felt that we had to do, and we did not know of solutions out there that helped us make people feel that we know them, right? I hate the agent who says, everyone knows me. I'm like, I don't give it. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people know you. What matters is if they know that you know them. And how do you get people to believe you're the local market expert? It's one thing to even be it, right? But how do you get people to believe it? And how do you make people feel they can trust you? A flyer and a bus bench and an ad online is not creating trust. It's not helping me with responsiveness. I need to get more cell phones. I need to show people that people in the community like me. And I need to get more people in the community to refer me business and promote me online. And most people just wait for this stuff to happen. And so I think your brain starts working when you're hungover, because we were hungover on May 24, and we came up with this crazy idea. And it was a website for our neighborhood that had certain functionality and it had certain content that allowed us to meet people faster than ever before. There's no door knocker or cold caller who has ever been able to beat the numbers of my agent from an efficiency standpoint. And not only just go talk to people more, but give them something of value that they actually need and want in 2019 and back then in 2013. Okay? And so here's an example of one of the websites. Yeah. So we spent a year to build the one for our neighborhood in Liberty Village, and it cost me $30,000 to do it the first time around. Don't worry, that's not what people pay me nowadays, but like I was the first person to do this, so I had to go through the growing pains of building this out, and it looked way, like this is 5 designs later and so much more cool technology later, but the essence was I wanted to put local news, local events, and local deals on the platform. Because there's all this stuff that's happening in the community, but it's not, there's very few websites that have it all in one place and have it online. And the key to business, there's a really cool chart. I want to, because we have this, I'm going to draw it out. Harvard and McKinsey did this study called the Consumer Buyer's Journey. This is how people decide, and again, even if we don't work together, this will help you strategize of how to do business, okay? They said everyone is living their life, okay, over here, and then over here the deal gets done, okay? And then right before the deal gets done, I am making a decision, and I am evaluating and interviewing, okay? And so in real estate, if you ever have to compete against the listing, you're being interviewed by people before they make a decision and the deal gets done. Okay? Then, before the person starts evaluating, they're doing a whole bunch of research. And right before that, they're having their life, they're experiencing their life, and then all of a sudden that person becomes aware that I need a realtor. I want to buy my home. I want to sell a home. I need a coffee. Right? I'll use the analogy every single day that most of us probably experience. I wake up and I go, I need a coffee. And what do? I don't Google. I don't ask my friends, because for coffee, I have a relationship with a brand that I really like. And the first form of research that everyone does for everything in the world is they search their brain and see if they can come up with an answer that they feel good about. Which for some of us, it's Starbucks, it's Tim Hortons, some of you crazy people, coffee time. Okay? So that is always the first form of research, is see if I have a relationship with a realtor that I know, like, and trust, that I want to do business with. And if I do, I'm just going to beeline right to my decision 85% of the time, and the deal gets done. This right here is anywhere from 20 to 40% of all for real estate, depending on what study you look at. People are seeing a relationship I have with the realtor. 20 to 40% of all deals get done from this kind of research. 20 to 40% of sellers know a realtor they want to work with, call them, email them, text them. They're already talking to them through texting and social media, and all of a sudden the deal gets done. The next form of research is referrals. So if I can't think of someone, again, when it comes to food, it's like, hey man, where should I go for lunch? You got any good ideas? Yeah, okay, and then I go. Right? That's the thing most of us do every day. We ask someone where should we go for lunch, and that is a referral. In real estate, that's the second thing everyone does. They either call a friend, text a friend, email a friend, social media a friend, put a post and status on Facebook saying, hey, I need to sell my home, know anyone, refer anyone, and then their friends give them referrals. And then once that happens, they usually beeline right to the deal, and that is another 20 to 40% of all transactions, just from those two things. And then if someone can't think of someone, they can't get a referral, then they're like, okay, I'm going to search Google. I'm going to look at a portal online. I'm going to look at some flyers in my mailbox. I'm going to go bus benches and billboards and magazines and newspapers. And this is the advertising game. Open houses, each individual thing. Zillow even said in the States, and the same thing is for Realtor.ca and all these portals, 5% comes from either Facebook. If someone buys a lead, 5% of homeowners find their realtor because of a lead, a form they filled out online on some platform. 5%. Every little advertising and marketing thing out there is 1 to 5% of all transactions, and it adds up to 20 to 50%. This takes, from here to here is 1 second. From here to here, maybe 1 day to talk to my friend. And so if you want to win more of these business, you have to live over here. It really pisses me off at the training that happens with realtors when I talk to realtors and they say, why would I want to talk to someone who doesn't need me? It happens all the time. Why would I want to talk to a business owner if they don't need to buy or sell a home? Why would I want to talk to a homeowner who doesn't need to buy or sell a home right now? And they wonder why they fail at the business and don't have more of this kind of business. So the key, if you want to get this kind of business, is you actually have to be a part of someone's life before they need you or after they've needed you. And they're not thinking about real estate. So why did we come up with news, events, and deals? Because that is the stuff that people want to know about on a daily basis. And if I can give them a platform that makes people want to see me on a daily basis or see my face on the side of the page when they're looking at news, events, and deals, that allows me to stay in front of them and stay top of mind. So, and if I have the #1 news source for my community, that's a conversation starter. I can go through my entire database and I can not say, hey, how's it going? How's your family? How's your kids? How's blah, blah. Everyone hates those conversations. So, have you had any thoughts of selling? You know anyone? Okay, well, let me know. Bye. Who here has had those kinds of conversations? Okay, I've done it. I have had those kinds of conversations. And you wonder why people don't follow up. You wonder why people don't do it. That's not fun. Okay. And so I was like, all right, I need a better conversation starter. I need someone to talk about. And now I was like, what if I could just call them and say, hey, have you checked out this new website for the community that I know you live in? Hey, have you seen that new event that's happening in the area? I know you're super into music, and there's this, live music show happening. And so I was like, I need to have local content to share with people because that's a reason to DM them, that's a reason to call them and text them, and then start conversation, and then say, hey, look, I'd be a horrible realtor if I didn't, see if you had any questions about the market. Have you had any thoughts of selling? Because once I've given them value and keep asking that questions, I'm actually still giving value. I'm saying, hey, I would be a bad realtor if I didn't ask you if you have any questions about the market. And if I didn't ask you if you had any thoughts of selling that I can help you out with. But I want to make sure I start the conversation with something of value first. And I needed to have that. So we created this local website. And again, so one of the challenges that I have is I only work with one person per neighborhood because I can only make one of these per area. And I have a sheet over there that talks about the areas in this region that I don't have a client for. So if you don't get to work with me or don't want to, that's totally fine. I recommend maybe take some of these ideas with you, okay? But it took us a long time to build this, and now there's $1 million+ in tech. And the cool thing is now I get to be able to give this to people because again, the Wright sisters came to me and says, I want to do this. I've been thinking about doing a website like this with all this content. And the other side of it was, this is actually probably the bigger side. I looked around all the local businesses. And it's amazing how, again, some realtors come to me and say, why would I go talk to local businesses? I want to talk to homeowners. I'm like, what do you think those people are? I'm like, what do you think they live in? And they're like, oh, well, some of them rent. And I was like, so they're a buyer. And they go, oh, well, they don't live in my area. Do you not do business outside of the area? And so there are these people, and to me, I focused all my time and attention on business owners and professionals because I saw them as influential homeowners. Okay, for my wife, and then for me, for fitness, I was like, hey man, I want to help you make money. So I built functionality on this website so businesses could stop using Groupon, Eventbrite, and Yelp, and Yellow Pages, and all these things that they pay money for. And I say, you can put up your deals, your sales, your specials, your coupons, your reviews, your events, all that stuff you can do on this for free, and it's local. And they were like, this is awesome, or how is this free? And I'm like, well, I live here, I work here, I want to help the community out because that's good for my brand, good for my business, and hey, I know that if I help a bunch of people make money, I'm sure someone will help me make money. Whether it's you or someone else, I don't really care. And so I built all this functionality because I knew that would give me a conversation starter to go talk to all the business owners, the professionals, the community groups, the resident associations, the schools, the teachers, the principals, fire, police, you name it. When you have a website with the ability for organizations of any kind to put up their products and services and events and promotions, you have a reason to go talk to them. And a lot of us professionals who work with clients, mornings, lunchtimes, and evenings, have a whole bunch of white space. And one of the reasons why I know realtors and all small business owners have this in their business is because they have made prospecting and serving the client happen at the same time. And when are people wanting to talk to professionals? After work. When are they filling out forms for advertising and calling leads? After work. When, if they're your client, when do they want to work? After work. And so you can never do both at the same time. And so again, I built this system because I was like, I have this white space in my calendar, and so do you, Amanda, and we got to find a way to fill those up with meetings, because I promise us, if we can fill those up with meetings, we'll fill our bank account up with money. And so now we got to find a reason to meet people. And so without getting too deep into the tech and the system, there's really just one thing that our agents do. And when you're the sponsor and ambassador, okay, so agents pay us a yearly fee to become the exclusive sponsor and ambassador. When you do that, you get to walk around the community and say, hey, I'm an ambassador of the Clarington website, and I would love to get to know you and feature you on it for free. Would you like to be featured? What do you think they say? And how long was that script? And when have you been able to say in 15 seconds, I don't even think it was 15 seconds, book a one-on-one, face-to-face meeting with someone who will, at some point, buy and sell a home? And remember the math of getting clients? You need to have this many, whatever that number is, you need to have this many prospect conversations. And when you interview someone, what are you doing? What's the first half of a listing presentation? Asking the person, what do you do? What do you need? What do you like? What are your goals? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? That's an interview. And so we said, hey, why would people want to be interviewed? I'm like, well, let's have a local website, and then we'll interview the people, and then that will be like part one of a listing presentation for you and for a consultation for me. And then right before we wrap up and take photos and selfies and talk about promoting the interview, we'll just ask them, hey, before you wrap up, do you have any questions about real estate? Because I'm now actually still in question mode and giving value mode. And what does that do? That 1 in 21 ratio that's in the Durham region. My clients, like clockwork, are able to create business for themselves. Because statistics they're real. You can't lie, right? If you meet 21 people and you give them value and then you ask them if they have questions about market, you will have one person. You probably have 2 or 3 looky-loos who are just so interested in the market they ask questions because that's what happens. But there will be one person who will be doing business that year with someone. That's just the market. And based on your close ratio, again, for simple math, maybe it's 50%, so you got to do 42 to find 2 to close 1. And that will give you your bread and butter that allows you to make money without fail, so you never have to worry about it. And then what will happen is, if you meet 42 people and 2 people are moving this year, that's 40 who are not, that you have just given value to. And everyone down here has a percentage of their relationships that give them referrals. So then you get referrals on top of it. Every single time I see this happening. And the cool thing is, when you do a good job, and I'm not going to get into the training of how to do these interviews and video and podcasts and blogging, and there's all these different things, but when you know how to do this properly, you won't even have to ask, do you have questions about the market? I have people who have gotten clients or referrals just in the booking of the interview process. People are so blown away that a realtor, and they don't even know they're a realtor at the beginning, because they didn't go, because in the script I'd say I'm an ambassador of this local website, and the person goes, this is awesome, like, what do you do? And what did that person just give you? Their attention to now talk about what you do, why you do it, and why they should work with you. And there's a whole training on how you create the perfect pitch, elevator pitch in that moment to get that person's, make that person want to use you or refer you. So I have a bunch of people who have gotten clients just by booking it. I mean, they still do the interview, but like it's amazing to see, lo and behold, human nature, law of reciprocity, right? It's a real thing, right? Someone wants to give you value, they just inherently want to give it back to you. And it's great when you don't even have to worry about trying to suck business out of a person. You just give and give and give. It's so fun, and it works. And so we came up with this idea for ourselves, and it worked like a charm. And what we found was, and then what I'm finding with my clients is year after year, if you keep doing this, your relationship database gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So you want consistent growth in your business? Then you need to build a bigger database to see more deal flow every year. And with advertising, even if it does work, if you stop, it's gone. And the cost of advertising is not getting better, it's getting worse. So ROI, and usually the prices of ads are climbing higher than housing. So your commission, your ROI is going down, down, down. And so one of the cool things I do, because this is the reality of technology, is I don't have to increase prices every year. I say, if this is your yearly fee, we're going to build you a website, this is all you got to pay every year. And so as you do more interviews, as you build more relationships, as your database gets bigger year after year, all of my clients' ROI just gets better and better and better and better.
Personal blog, each realtor adds their personal blog.
And I'm going to show you this chart, because this is, again, the reason why I did this. Simplicity is the key to execution. I know I might sound like a broken record saying the same thing, but in business, it's all about metrics. You have certain metrics you're trying to hit. It could be, I want to get new people to know I exist, or I want the people who know me to keep seeing me, or I want my image and my reputation to improve, or I want to stand out and do something different. Okay, that's the reason why I also only work with one person per area, because like, how many things in this world are other people not doing? I want to get more fans and friends on social media, because that really is kind of the new age version of an email list. I want to rank high in the search engines. Like, I want to target a specific geographic area. I want to build my database, strengthen the relationships. One of the things that people don't talk about, which is a business, if you ever want to sell your business, which some people just don't even think about because they just don't think it's possible, but absolutely you can sell your business because your business is your database. And when a buyer comes around and says, I want to buy your business, okay, because I've gone through this, they go, all right, how many people are in your database? And how good is your relationship with the people in that database so that when you actually call, email, and text them as part of the deal, right, that when you say, I'm no longer doing this anymore, I am now endorsing that you use this guy, he's going to take really good care of you, I have researched him, I recommend him. How much clout do you have with these people? So how much business am I going to get from that conversation and pass off? So you can't just have name, numbers, and emails. You got to have relationships to increase the value of your database. And then the person knows that I'm not going to get a lot of business like right away from this. So I need to have a lot of information about these people so that I can follow up and give value and build a good relationship with these people. So again, name, number, and email, and address, when they last bought their house, their birthday. Like, that's not going to help me that much. And so I will value the database even higher if I know that the person is married, has kids, how many kids, what are their names, do they have pets, what kind of pets, what are their likes, what are their interests. All this data about the people in your database. The more data you have about them, the more valuable that database is. One, for you to make money in the short term, and then for you to be able to sell that long term. And one of the great things about these interviews is that's where you get to ask all the questions to fill your database up with that quality information that will help you make money and serve them, but also help you sell your business down the road. Okay? Touch points, having more touch points with them, getting leads. Like here's the meat of business. Get leads, get clients, make money, get referrals, increase profit, be efficient, and be better as an agent. Okay? Like, again, the standards are raising. You can't just do what everyone else is doing. You have to spend time to be smarter about everything and everyone and all the nooks and crannies in your area because that's what people are demanding because they can already see so much data themselves on the internet. So they want to get information from you that they couldn't find. And how do you actually go get that efficiently? So when that client told me that she lost the business or did not close it right away from the buyers, I was like, well, now you need to go interview someone who is a city councilor who can now teach you about the services of the community, which is a part of an interview because you're going to put that information out there anyways. But now here's your chance to learn from the person and go interview a tax specialist to go talk about the tax laws and make sure you ask questions in the interview about that because then you can use the interview to now be better as well as create content and build a relationship and prospect and all these different things. So when you look at the landscape, and this is why I'm bullish and aggressive on the fact that I have not seen anything that is qualitatively, this is the qualitative side of marketing, qualitatively better than the system I built for myself because I was looking around saying, I have to piece together. If you look at retargeting and buying ads online, it can do stuff for you, but it can't do a whole lot of stuff well, and all these 0.5s mean that you have to be good at that tactic in order to achieve this result. Because you can do a bunch of stuff, you can buy a bunch of ads and not do it well, and then have it not actually help new people know you exist. So the 0.5s mean you got to be good at this marketing strategy to actually get that result. The 1 means, yeah, most people when they do this, they'll get this result, right? And so whether you buy ads online or do bus benches in print or do email marketing or have a website to get you leads or work your database on the phone and text or door knock cold call or do open houses or create content or do social media, nothing does everything. And simplicity is the key to execution. So I wanted to build something for myself and my trainers across Canada and for my wife that did everything because that would make life a whole lot more simple. And if I can simplify it.
Is it a template website or what is it?
So I'll show you, here's an example of one website. If I was just to go to Park Bench, whoop, Here's another website. So the image will change at the top, the image in the sidebar, the deals, the news, the events is different, the business directory is different. So it's,
to provide you with information over, right?
so here's the cool thing. When I first did this, I had to put all the data in. Fortunately, I have some amazing developers, and I said, listen, I'm currently going to all these different websites to find this content. Can you be like Google and just like grab it and just put it on my website for me, and then every day just update it? And they were like, I don't know, that's never been done before. I'm like, well, you guys are developers, you guys are wizards, you guys just, you know, figure things out. And so fortunately, that's what they figured out. And so this is kind of like one of the unique technologies that we've built, is all this content is now added for you automatically every single day. Because you don't want to do that. That's not the business that you're in, is adding content. You're in the business of saying, now that I have this resource, I want to go meet more people. Because when I go do this interview, I am prospecting, I'm building relationship, that could get me clients, it could get me referrals, I'm creating content for social media, I'm creating content for search engines, I'm then going to be able to promote this content, and then what do you think that person does with the interview as well? They promote it on their social media. And you just stimulated word of mouth advertising on demand.
So when you do these specific interviews and you go to, say, the local flower shop, and you talk about how they donate to sick kids, and you do highlight the promising things that they do, that information you then load on here, or you provide to your people and your people create a...
So when it comes to adding the interview, we have a lot of training that goes into how to do video quickly and easily, just with a tripod and your phone. It can be as low tech as that, and it works totally fine. If you want to do video, how to do it. If you want to do a podcast, if you want to do a blog, we teach you how to do it, and we make it as easy as possible by having interview templates and having a nice form that you just start filling in information and filling in answers to questions. If you create your own question, you can put that here. So there's a whole technology around helping the agent make the content, because if you had to pay us to do it, everything would cost a whole lot more. So the fact that we've now been able, there's this really cool, is this it? You know, I was teaching people how to do this on their own because I can't work with everybody. But for people that I do get to work with, there is at least this much. Like if you were to, if I told my developers, I'm like, I want you to tell me if I was to shut this company down and then we had to rebuild it from scratch, how much money would that cost me? You know how to. So if a developer knew how to do it, because like I've spent over $1 million in this technology, but that's because they were figuring so many things out along the way. So if you were to hire my developers and for them to go build it from scratch, everything that we have, it would cost this much money. And people are paying 2% of that price to get it. And that's the cool thing about technology, is I now get to give people something great.
And Oshawa here, who has it? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Can we get on the list, for example?
Yeah, so if all you work is Oshawa and the areas that are on that sheet don't interest you, I apologize. And yes, you can email me and say, can put me on the wait list. Because, I mean, I think we have sorry?
You said Oshawa, Christy, Stefan?
Yep.
I noticed that Katie those first interviews there were only in Bowmanville. Does she does all Clarington or not?
All of Clarington. So when we did the Clarington map, it included those little towns inside of it. And so she actually, let me see if...
Focus on Newcastle, but I didn't see anything on her page there.
Yeah. So what happens is, let me show you a map. People pay more for a really big area, and that's what she said. She's like, I want to do Clarington, but Cortes, Bowmanville, Newcastle. She just wanted exclusivity to all of it.
So can we go on your website and see which areas are there or whatever, and put you on the waiting list?
So for the Durham region, those are the areas that are still available on that sheet. I could also email you this link so you can kind of click around and play around with it. But yeah, it's a yearly fee.
So you're hosting it also, right?
Yep, everything. Everything.
You host it?
We build it, we manage it, maintain it, we enhance the technology every quarter. We're building new features all the time.
Approximately how many pages are there in total? Or can I see a site? Can you give me a web address where you can just...
Go to parkbench.com/Clarington.
Okay.
Yeah. You're grandfathered in at a yearly fee, whatever that may be. It could be whatever is on that sheet. So no matter how big the site gets, no matter how many deals you get from it, no matter how big your database is, and the cool thing is, you're using Parkbench to build your relationships, to build your database, and to create content that goes on your YouTube and your Facebook and all that stuff. So heaven forbid, I mean, my goal is to always be here, but yeah, if all of a sudden something happens to a company, which happens all the time, you have more relationships because of it. You have more content and data because of it, and you just take that with you to wherever else you want to go. And so realtors appreciate that, because if you build your business on realtor.ca, you're actually giving up control to that platform, or if something else if they change their algorithms or do a merger like Zillow and Trulia did down the States, and it's totally screwed everyone's businesses up because the leads started getting really junky and horrible, like, you're not in control anymore. And so even though I was creating a platform for people to use to build their business, I myself, when I built it, I was like, well, if this thing doesn't work out, at least I want to take my content and my relationships with me. Because I gave them value for as long as I could, and if this thing doesn't work out, whatever, at least I have relationships and a bigger database. So grandfathered in, first right to continue every year. There's even a cool, for some people, like I tell people, when you look at your calendar and you see how much white space you have, our superpower is helping fill that up. Because when you ask people for an interview, they're not like, well, I need to meet you at this time on this day. They're like, when can you do this? Like, this sounds awesome. And then you're like, well, I can meet you at this time on this day, which, lo and behold, if you can prospect at different times of serving your clients, that ebb and flow in your business will start to even out. Because that's how to even out a business, is to always be building your pipeline and serve clients at the same time. A lot of realtors struggle with that one. Nope. As many as you can. And so the rule is you can, like, we'll do our best to build as good of a directory as possible from the beginning, but businesses kind of go up and down all the time. And so you can add, edit, delete businesses as you wish. And then the rule is you can interview anyone who serves your area. Because sometimes there's boundaries, and like the business is like just on the other side, but they totally serve the people over there. And so, we want to do what's good for the business. And because if you do what's good for the business, it's good for the realtor. So if you guys want to book a demo, like, I know this is kind of a really quick one through, and most people like sit down for half an hour and they really walk through the whole thing. Just give me your card or put your name and number on that sheet of paper, and we can follow up. I wanted to... Sorry?
Where are you located?
Right now we're in the WeWork at 100 University. I have a 3 p.m. interview with someone. I still interview, and I use it now. Like, I tell people, like, I interview brokers and team leaders and the corporations, and I now get business from it. People sign up for Parkbench because of these interviews. So I practice what I preach.